Human beings are searching for the personal experience of reality. They are seeking to come to understand themselves, to find a reason for their own existence.
And so you go round and round and round, ever chasing the illusion that there is something outside yourself, outside your here and now, to be attained that will make things better.
No guru, no method, no teacher, and no nothing else either.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Spiritual Phoenix podcast. I'm your host, Ross Cessna, and together we are the Spiritual Phoenix. The intent of this show isn't to tell you what to think, but to get you to think and originally articulate yourself in a way that is uplifting. We're the artists of our lives, and today is a blank canvas. Let's collectively create a better tomorrow. And right now, I'd like to take a moment and just focus on what we are grateful for today. Today, I'm really grateful to have this kind of restless spirit. I know that sounds counterintuitive in some ways, but that's kind of the topic I'm going to get into. So I went to my therapist last week, and she really brought up this fact that I never seem content with things, and that I always seem relatively restless, like on to the next thing. And I think that that's true about me. But for a long time in my life, that restlessness was directed kind of in a self-destructive way. And I think that having a restless spirit in the right capacity can be very uplifting. And I don't think that it's necessarily lack of contentment, because you can be content with the way things are but want something better as well. And actually the only way that you can really progress to get better things in your life is with being happy with the way things are already in some capacity. I don't buy in largely to the concept of law of attraction and the way that it's presented in the mainstream way. But what you focus on grows. So if you have this attitude of gratitude and you act from this grateful position, regardless of your circumstances, you're better equipped to navigate through life and cultivate and propagate what you want to flourish. And I say that in the sense that operating from this attitude of gratitude despite circumstances allows you to direct your energy more usefully. So you aren't draining yourself, is what it really is. And this restlessness that I have isn't so much that I'm not happy now. It's that I know that I can get more out of life. The paradox in all of this is that I have to somewhat be content with being restless. And that's a huge paradox, but like most of the things that I talk about, are somewhat paradoxical. And I find that there's always wisdom and truth within paradoxes if people can wrap their mind around it. And when you can become content with being restless in a productive way, you're establishing the foundation for success, in my opinion. There was a song, and I want to say it was by Bob Marley and the Wailers. It could have been a cover that they did. I'm not entirely certain. But one of the lyrics was, them belly full, but them hungry, or something like that. I could be totally butchering it and misquoting it. But that concept has really been sticking with me. Like, in lots of ways, I'm satisfied with where I'm at, and I'm grateful for the things that I have, but I need to improve beyond where I'm at, because I can't stay in this space forever, because that lack of change is really death in and of itself, and it will stagnate. And if I'm not growing and expanding, I'm regressing or dying, really. And I think that that's really the gist of what my whole journey has been about. And sometimes I have to prune back certain leaves as I begin to grow, because they're not beneficial to the overall to my overall success, I guess. But I still need to grow out those offshoots to that stage to recognize the error in their ways, I guess. If I operate on decisions and make choices continually based on fear of the outcome, I'm really limiting myself a great deal. If I'm making these choices because I understand that how they affect me on a deep level, and how they affect me on a soul level, rather than being afraid to fuck up, I guess. If I'm experiencing them directly and learning lessons from them, that's a lot better space than completely avoiding fucking up out of fear, I guess. And I think that that's one of the things that sometimes people on spiritual journeys get wrapped up in is, and I know I'm off on a tangent now, but story of my life, right? People get wrapped up so much in this end game of what they want from spirituality, they miss the nuances, and it becomes this rigid structure. And I've lost the restlessness in that sense, where I recognize that this is a lifelong thing, and the goal isn't to reach the goal. The goal is to enjoy the journey to the goal, and to at least at this stage, I should say, the goal is to further connect with myself on a deeper way, and learn how to interact with others on a deeper way, and see the reflection of me in other people, and maybe not to progress so much internally, which is completely counterintuitive to 9/10 of my life. Learning how to live with other people is not my thing. Something else that really has been coming up for me a lot lately is this concept of learning to live with other people. And at this meditation group that I went to, we were asked to focus on an intention for the meditation. And the thing that came up for me was healing. And I recorded a Facebook Live video last week that talked about this quote from Rumi. And I was going to put it on the podcast, but the quality of it was shit. So I wouldn't have been able to share it. And it was just disjointed. But the quote by Rumi was pretty much about removing the barriers to love rather than seeking it directly. And as I look for romantic companionship, and also friends who I can really grow with on a spiritual level, I'm recognizing that I have to remove the obstructions to that. And 9/10 of the obstructions to that are kind of like my own spiritual narcissism, and my inability at times to take constructive criticism or joking on a deep level, because there's wounds there. There's a lot of wounds in all of those areas. So the whole healing part of where I'm at right now is really getting comfortable with that. And it's ironic that I'm on this healing journey with everything that I'm doing. It's been a healing journey. But at some point I got so rigid in the structure for healing that it stopped becoming about healing, and it became more about living up to this ideal of what I think a healing person should be. In somewhere I lost compassion for myself, and in losing that compassion for myself, I lost compassion for other people. And this past month or past several weeks has been incredibly emotionally difficult for me in lots of ways. There's been a lot of anger. There's been a lot of self-doubt, a lot of fear about outcomes of things. But I'm also getting in a space where I'm comfortable with that in some senses, and recognizing that my restless spirit can be a benefit in overcoming that by applying that restlessness to these goals, but also healing myself and saying it's okay to feel restless in this. It's okay to feel this way, but you can give yourself more time. You can give yourself more love. You can give yourself more space. You can give yourself more compassion. And you can give those things to other people. I can't give other people more compassion, more love, more respect, more space if I'm unable to give that to myself. And I can only keep all of those feelings for me if I give them away to other people, is one of the things that I've really learned through my journey of recovery. And do I think that I'll always be restless per se? I don't believe that I'll always be restless. I do think that at some point my spirit will be satisfied and content, but I really do feel that I'll always want to strive for more. And I don't know that it'll necessarily be restless, because I kind of view that as a negative word. But I feel that as I get more in line with where I want to be in life, that those edges will soften. And I could be wrong about that. I don't know. At this point, I feel like I'm going to be talking in circles, and I feel like I got to the root of what I wanted to talk about. I love, respect, and appreciate anybody who really enjoys this podcast. As I've mentioned before, if you resonate with this, share it with other people. Leave a review on iTunes, please. Also, check out the store, thespiritualphoenix.com. Visit Oracle at Mushin. Get a tarot reading, some life coaching, something like that. And although I've been opposed to Patreon, I may be making a Patreon page in the near future, because I work really hard on the podcast, and I want to take it to the next level. And in some capacity, support would really help that. Letting me know that this helps them in some way. And it's not about the money sometimes, but money doesn't hurt, even if it's $1 or $2. It's like buying me a cup of coffee a month. But I'm not there yet with Patreon. Anyhow, thank you so much. Have a blessed day. Peace.